Hello you. So we're going to be talking about GraviTrax in this video, and I want you to see how far into the trailer for GraviTrax I got before I knew I had to have one. So this is the GraviTrax box, starter kit thingy. Difficult to correlate what I'm doing with what the camera sees because I can only see a sort of reverse image, I guess, almost on my monitor. That's the starter kit. There we go. Hey, there we go. It's amazing. I mean, you get loads and loads of stuff, and you can, I mean, it's outside the parameters of this video, but you can also buy additional like add-on kits with more bits. Some of them are multiples of things that are in here, some of them like a big hammer thing that you'll see in the video that's coming up. That's very cool, that's a separate kit. But there's loads of pieces, and as you'll see in a second in the manual, there are multiple different sort of pre-designed runs that you can do. You can also obviously just kind of freestyle it and do what you want. That's where the real magic of this kit comes in. But as I say, 3 dimensions, so you can actually build up what you're doing sort of higher and higher, and then these little sort of ladder type things that you can see kind of go up and down, and you can have the board. It's so cool. Let me show you what you actually get, then I'll show you what I did, and then I'll show you the trailer, because the trailer does a much better job of this than I did. Should have just put that in here instead. So this is the box in close-up. This is just filler, this footage. This is the manual, so as you can see there's lots of different sort of plans that you can follow. You don't really get a huge amount of instructions. The later ones, the harder ones, you kind of really just get a finished image of what it looks like. That's what I work from. This is the one that I went for. This is one of the more complicated models. Again, I only really had a sort of image of the finished thing to work from, but it was reasonably straightforward. It took me about 20 minutes, half an hour, I guess, after a lot of faffing around and trying to work out what I was doing. That's mostly my stupidity more than anything else. These are all the bits that were still left in the box after I'd finished it, so that you can see there's lots. So these little runs, you can kind of do this with them. They clip on, and you can kind of, it means you can kind of go up and down on the model. Yeah, these are pieces that you put together. So these are normal sort of bits of the run, nothing too extraordinary. These are the ones that are the most exciting. These are the ones where you can really get creative. I'll explain a little bit in a second about what they do. But there's several of these, and you can buy extra ones, either duplicates of these or ones that are sort of additional, like different. So these are your sort of basis of your runs. There's 4 of them, and they connect. You only have to use one. I suppose if you wanted to, you could use 2 or 3 or 4, and they do sort of connect together. Like that. If you can see that, there you go. Look, when you first buy it, all of these holes have got bits of card sort of plugged into them because of the way it was manufactured. I was a little bit reticent initially about popping all of those out because I thought, am I meant to do this? Because of course it comes with a manual there, but obviously I didn't read it because manufacturer's opinion of how it should work. So those are what you're kind of building onto. Onto these you get either pieces like this. Let's just use one. Either pieces like this, so you kind of put it into the holes. Hopefully that will stay. And there you go. And on the reverse, you can kind of see how it kind of plugs in like that. Or if you want to go higher and higher and higher and level it up, you can get these other pieces. So you can kind of put them on like that, and you could do multiples if you wanted to, and then these pieces just fit on top, and there you go, and that's how you level it up. So that's reasonably straightforward. The manual, it's noisy, isn't it? The manual shows you kind of how to put one together, and you'll notice that they're graded on the sides here. So like one green blob means it's reasonably straightforward. Someone as stupid as me is probably going to be able to do it. As you go up into amber with 2 amber blobs, a little bit more complicated. Somebody as stupid as me is going to start to struggle at this point and probably need some adult supervision. And then when you get into the red section, into the 3, I can't even manage the manual, 3 red blobs section, that's pretty hardcore, and that's why it took an idiot like me probably 40 minutes, 45 minutes to actually piece it together. But after 55 minutes or so, it kind of took shape, and after the first hour and a half, it was done. And then after another couple of hours, 2 or 3 hours, I was able to actually test it once I fixed all the mistakes that I'd made in the preceding 4.5, 5 hours. So that's those. There's loads of them. There's loads of things that you can make. But obviously the whole point of it is that you just play around with it and do it yourself. So I would suggest, if you are going to get this, have a look at it. Don't read the manual. I think, is this the actual manual? This explains kind of what it all is, how it all works. Get rid of that. Don't need that. Get that. I didn't read it. You don't need to read it. If I can build something without reading it, you can. So this kind of is basically just instructions of how to build things. I would have a look at it, but really once you've played with it a little bit and pieced a few things together and had a flavour of how the different parts, not so much how they connect, because it's reasonably straightforward how they connect, but once you work out the relationship between them, what they actually do in terms of the sort of physics of a run, then just go free and play. Because this is a very prescribed. It's like when I watched the Lego Movie, and they said the whole point of the Lego Movie, well, one of the points of the Lego Movie was, when you buy a Lego kit, here's the instructions, here's how you build the thing on the front. But you know what? Don't worry about that. Just create your own things. I was like, what? Why? Well, hang on. So what? I don't have to just build this car. I can build, well, something else. I mean, admittedly, I was an idiot as a kid. Hasn't really changed over the years. So I didn't really have any idea what else to make other than very slightly different cars or whatever it would have been. I digress. So that's really good. It's not hugely clear, I don't think necessarily. So like a younger person, I mean, someone my age struggled a bit with it. So I think if you're going to give it to a child, I mean, it's aimed at between the ages of 8 and 99. So if you're over 99, not happening. If you're over 100, you know what? Just buy one anyway. Yeah, I think if you're under the age of 8, I think even 8-year-olds are going to struggle a little bit. If you're under the age of 8, you are probably going to need a grown-up to kind of walk you through actually what this is and what it does, and why it isn't the PS4 Pro that you asked for Christmas. But that's really good. And then, so these were the pieces. Ooh, there you go. So as I say, things like this are your kind of ordinary pieces, and the balls, I'm not going to get any of them out, but there's a little bag of them, look. The balls sort of run through these sort of little cut-in pieces. If you can see, there's like a groove in there, that's where the ball travels through. And they're fine, and they kind of connect together, and you can kind of see how you could make, say, like a circle out of them. So there's like a not quite a circle, but it's a curve, certainly. And you could connect maybe these other bits the other way around and make a sort of smaller one. But it's these pieces that are really cool. So the idea of this one is that you push it, and it sort of, basically you put a ball bearing into each of these 3 sections, these 3 little gaps. And then you push it down and it pushes them all out. And depending on the run that you've made, I only used 1 starting point because I got confused. Ignore that. I got confused. I mean, how hard is it to either turn off your notification sounds or just close Outlook down when you're making a video? That's kind of cool. I only used 1, but you could have up to 3 starting points for your balls. This is... So you get like a thing, I think these come separately, so you'll need to figure out how they connect in the box. That's the bit, and then that sort of plumbs into it, and then the ball, hang on no. Then the ball sort of travels into the hole and then drops through the gap. So you can have things sort of coming along and then dropping down and carrying on. You'll see some of this in the video that's coming up. The magnet one is really good. So if you have a ball and it travels and it hits the magnet, it will just stop. If you've got more than one ball on the other side, the strength of the magnet basically weakens, I guess, or it's something to do with reverse poles. I don't really know. But if the ball hits it, the other balls on the other side will shunt and begin moving. So it could not only be an end point, but also a start point for other balls. There's that one. There's that, which is just sort of like an end place, I suppose. Or I think you could probably have it so that it drops down off that, and because there's a slope into that, it drops in and then rolls out and then continues. Anyway, we're here all day talking about bits and balls. Here's a video of what I made. I did my best to recreate some of the dynamics of the trailer, largely unsuccessfully. It is what it is. Then I will show you the trailer, and then I'll talk a little tiny bit about what the actual educational value is of this, because obviously it's a teaching channel primarily, not just educational tools, not toys, not just toys. Here's the video. All of which is fine and great. Yes, it looks awesome, and actually when you get it, it is just as cool as it looked on the advert. And I guess it'd be very easy to recommend it as a toy, and for you to get it and to open it and to build the things in the book. But, you know, for my money, the value of something like GraviTrax is outside the house. I don't mean doing it in the street, because you might lose the balls down a drain or something. I don't know how standard ball bearings are. There are lots of different kinds of ball bearings that you can get, different sizes and weights. I've no idea. Not something I've ever had to look into, to be honest. The idea is I've never even thought about ball bearings prior to doing this review. I don't know why I'm still talking about them now. But the point of it really should be outside the house. You know, something like GraviTrax is ideal for a classroom setting, because you can give students one of those little board pieces and give them a selection of parts, and then just, you know, see what you can make. And really you should be fostering that kind of creativity and exploration, because I mean, I said about Lego earlier that I just used to buy the thing and read the book and make the thing, and then that was the thing. And that's true, you know, that wasn't really a joke. And I was a little bit like, what? When the Lego movie came out, because it never really occurred to me that that wasn't what was intended. Because you kind of think, well, if that's not what's intended, why have you got a picture on the front? And why is there instructions? You know, just let me buy a box of bits, just random bits. Maybe a number, so you know, I've already got a box of bits 42, let's get 87, that might be different. It's about exploration, it's about creativity. And indirectly, when you're playing around, exploring, reviewing, testing, GraviTrax, not playing around. You are kind of exploring gravity, you're exploring kinetic energy, you're exploring gravity, you know. And so as a tool for exploring STEM in a classroom and learning about it, it's brilliant. It's hard. I think it probably wouldn't really necessarily be suitable for kind of younger primary kids without quite a lot of supervision. I think probably 8 as a starting age might be a bit young for that kind of thing, at least. Following the instructions and making stuff, probably fine. I think in a classroom setting where I think this belongs, actually playing around with it and exploring it is better right at the top end of primary, lower end of secondary. Maybe secondary is still probably where it belongs best. Learning about things like kinetic energy and gravity and magnetism and stuff, and then being able to explore. I mean, you can kind of explore what they are and stuff, but actually be able to explore them as things in the physical world and play around with it and say, oh, if I push this and it travels around and stuff and it hits that, and because of the magnets it pushes the thing on the other side away, and then that goes around and then things drop down and travel along. It's really cool and it's really a lot of fun. And maybe you're limited perhaps in your creativity in the starter set. I mean, it is a starter set after all. I've put links down the bottom for all the some of the lots, some of the expansion packs you can get. There are loads. Probably in a classroom you'd need 3 or 4 maybe of the starter set, so you can give people enough bits to kind of run with. But I would say this is best used in a classroom. It is best used maybe without the manual there as a guide, but really just explore. Once you've figured out how the bits connect and how they interrelate with each other, the real fun with GraviTrax then is just creating stuff and trying it out and seeing if it works, and if it doesn't work, trying something else. If the ball gets to a certain point and then runs out of steam and just sort of crawls to a stop, why is that? Do we need to start it higher so that it's got more momentum as it goes around? That's where the lessons are, that's where the learning is, and that's where it mostly comes into its own. Yes, it's good fun as a toy, but as an educational tool, which is obviously what the channel's all about, not toys, tools, it's really good. As a STEM teaching tool, heartily recommend it. I don't award stars on this channel because they're meaningless, but I'd award it, if I had to, 18 stars. What that's out of, who knows? 18 stars. Links down below. Do like and subscribe. Here are those floaty, graphic-y things. Don't know where they'll be. I can't remember. They'll be on the screen somewhere. GraviTrax, heartily recommend it. 18 stars out of a possible higher number of stars. Hope that was helpful.